Hello, everyone. If you guys forgot, my name is Naya Hudson, and today I will be going over the art that I made this semester, starting from the very, very beginning and moving to the very, very end. So, first off, I wanted to start with my artist presentation for this semester. So, I decided to choose Yume Art. And for a little bit of a recap, Yume Art is essentially a Chinese artist who kind of gained fame on a platform called DeviantArt. And as time went on, they got more and more popular. And with that popularity came um, a new era of Yume art. And so as she got bigger, she started to focus more on things that um, more on artwork that countered things like climate change and AI artwork, et cetera, et cetera. She basically became a very big activist in the art realm. But yeah, I've been following her since probably 2013, if not earlier, and I continue to follow her to this day. So, going into the first project, this is the very first project that we had this semester, and it was essentially turning sketchbook drawings from the traditional end into digital drawings. And so, I did three different ones. And when I was creating these three drawings, I kind of wanted to um, try to focus on one different thing in each one and kind of make them unique. And so, for the very first one on the very top, I wanted to focus on lighting, so I made her have a side profile view so that way the light would hit her face in that side profile. And then in the second one to the far right, I have Pomni, who is a character from the Amazing Digital Circus, which is a YouTube animation. It's a YouTube animation series that was created a long time ago and kind of gained more popularity as of recent. And then in the very bottom is a girl sitting. I just wanted a full body figure in one of my pieces. And in that one, I wanted to work with more so like the different effects that Procreate and Photoshop have to offer, just because I did go back and forth between the two programs a lot throughout this semester. So, with that being said, here are my final products from the first project. And so to the far left, I have the effect driven one. So I hopped into Photoshop and I focused on their surface effects and the different effects that you can gain from doing gradients mixed with like the mosaic effect that they have. And I, at the time, really liked how that looked, but as of right now, I think that I probably would have approached it differently. I probably would have, instead of using just a general effect that you find in Photoshop, I probably would have pulled it into Procreate and then used some of the brush packs that I ended up gaining later on this semester on this project. I just don't think it really gives off the vibe that I want anymore because I was going for more of a watercolor vibe at the time. And so the surface texture that I used was to emulate a watercolor paper, but looking back on it now, I don't think it really achieves that. For the middle one, I actually really do like this one. This one was more so, like I said in the previous slide, focused on lighting. And I've never really worked with super intense lighting in any of my digital artwork up until this point. And so I thought it was a very good first attempt at doing so. And I also felt like all the sketching that I created originally, it was very, very seamlessly hidden. So that way it didn't look like I started with a sketch and then just threw color on it. And for the third one, I was going for a very like flat tone, kind of playful, vibrant piece to kind of match the animation style of the Amazing Digital Circus. And I thought it was largely successful, and I really like it to this day. When I look at it, I don't think there's too much I would change about it. Maybe just make the posture a little bit more interesting, but overall, I quite like that one. For project two, we were given a project where we had to turn a grayscale drawing into a colored one digitally. And so for that one, I chose to do a photograph that I had taken in Oregon while visiting last year. And so to the left is the grayscale portion of when I first sketched everything out and then blocked in all of the gray tones that I needed. And then to the right is when I added the color. I actually learned that I quite prefer this method, and I think it's a lot more effective than just taking a sketch and then throwing color on it. I think that the grayscale really helped me with my depth and with creating a more visually engaging piece with more time to spare because I thought it was very time efficient. So I will be using this a lot more in the future. Um, but yeah, and to the right, I was kind of going for a more mystical, fairy tale like vibe, and I think that it really hit the mark. It sort of transformed the original piece into something brand new, and I really like the way that that one turned out. For project 3, that was when we started doing the holiday card contest. And so I had a bunch of different thumbnails, and for this particular project, I had a really hard time deciding what exactly it was I wanted to do. All I knew is that I wanted the project to be all inclusive, so I didn't want any specific holiday to take a forefront in my design. I wanted it to be very neutral, and I also wanted it to be very kind of like cutesy and friendly looking, very rounded. I think something that I would change about this particular piece is the actual thumbnail that I ended up going with. So I think that if I had gone with the bottom middle sketch in the top left, then I probably would have liked the final product more. I just feel like looking back on it, I think that I could have done a lot more with the way that that was structured compared to the two cats cuddling with each other. And I also feel like because I had a vision for the snowflakes inside of that thumbnail, and I think that I would have flourished a lot more with that. So looking back on it, I do wish I did that thumbnail instead. Maybe I'll do it in the future. But really, truly, for this piece, I think it did come out well in the long run. And I think it actually did fit really well with the overall theme of abundance, since I chose to do the abundance of friendship. And they're two cats cuddling and they're friendly. So I think it overall hit the mark. This page is basically just the layout of my card. So the very top left is the backing of the card, the bottom left is the front of the card. And then when you open the card, the bottom right would be the innards of that card, while the top portion would be like the upper portion of the inside of the card. For Project 4, this was meant to be casino cards based on a closed down casino, and we were supposed to kind of revamp it in a way that revitalized the original aesthetics of those casinos. And so, what I chose to do is I chose to create a casino card pack for a casino called Mermaid Casino, which had originated in Las Vegas, Nevada. And then my idea was to make Mermaid Casino cards that were actually based in Miami, Florida instead. And so I thought it was a good idea because Miami is really well known for their beaches and for playing and having fun. It has like it has a really playful culture behind it, and I felt like it really matched the original aesthetics of Mermaid Casino, and so that's why I chose to go with that. As you move further in, the left portion is all of my rough drafts and the process designs I came up with, and then to the right is the actual mock up of the card. I feel like it was pretty successful. I really enjoyed how I chose to reflect each of the cards, and I feel like it came out in a very interesting way that I had never really dabbled in before, to create interesting kind of abstract shapes based on the original characters that I created. The queen was kind of just a regular cutesy mermaid, and the king was supposed to be like the dad mermaid, um, and or merman, excuse me. And for the Jack, I wanted to do kind of like a more juvenile male type, who is more of like a bard than anything, to kind of symbolize like the Jack-esque energy. And then for the Joker, I chose to do a clownfish because clown is literally in the name. And so, yeah, I thought it would have been a missed opportunity if I did not. So on this page is the casino card animation. None of my links are playing, but I know they work. So I will say that for this specific animation, my biggest issue came from my computer just simply not being able to run After Effects. And so as I continue to go into this project, I was editing blindly and hoping that the playback when I actually exported the video worked. And for the majority of the actual animation, it was very clean. It was just towards the end when I really started having issues with my computer dying on me, metaphorically, of course. That's where I started to get a lot of the choppy effects and little little areas where the cards weren't flipping like they were supposed to, or landing in the spots like they were supposed to, or there was a little bit of a delay. And that just simply came from my computer not being able to run it and me not being able to troubleshoot it in a way that made it so that I could run it. Um, but despite those challenges, I really feel like this was a great casino card animation. I really wish it could play, but it is what it is. For Project 5, this is where I did the masterwork. Where I took a masterwork and then I made a master copy out of it. I chose to do The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer. And then after we created the master copy, that's when we had to create the work in our own original style. Our own original work based on the style and technique of the master copy. So to the left is my time lapse for the master copy, and to the right is my time lapse for my original work. For the master copy, I felt like it was pretty straightforward and it wasn't something brand new to me. I've done this in the past with other works. So it was a very nice, relaxing time trying to get all the eye drops correctly and then trying to get the same smooth shading that the actual master work does have. And then to the right was where I experienced a lot more issues because one, I wasn't really sure how to tackle something where I just didn't have like a solid reference. Like this drawing came entirely from my brain. I didn't have any sort of reference on hand. Um, and to the left, I completely just blocked out colors and then molded the shapes into the way that I wanted. While to the right, I did a sketch first and then I blocked in colors. And I also just felt like I couldn't think outside of the box to make a interesting original piece like my peers did. When I was looking at everyone else's work, I realized like how interesting they made their original copies. But for me, I feel like it was really hard for me to stray away. So I even inside of the smoke of the cigarette that I drew, I put my master copy in there to kind of like relay back into your mind that they were supposed to be kind of similar. Um, but I think something I would change is I would go for an entirely different route on how I chose to create the groundworks for my original work. I don't think I would start with a sketch. I think I would really push myself to block out color instead, and then similarly to the master copy, kind of sculpt it from there. And I also don't think I would put my master copy inside of my original work just because I just feel like it doesn't look that good. And if I did do it again, I would make it so that it's a little more translucent so that way you can see through the master copy and get more of the feel of actual smoke. But yeah. So here is the two finals based on those time lapses. And that was pretty much all the work that I made this semester. Thank you for watching, and thank you for an amazing semester. Have a good night.